or his law.
Or the number.
Or the number of his name. Now let me give you the number of his name. I'm going to read just a page out of this. I don't have time. We said last week, you remember Paul said that the day of the Lord will not come except there come a falling away first, and the man of sin be revealed. The man of sin was in the garden. We'll get into that next week. But let's just look at just a little bit of this. I'll turn over here and I'll just give you a little bit out of Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop. This is probably one of the most inexhaustible books I've ever read in my life. I've read it until it's just fallen apart. I'm going to give you a little bit about the number of his name. He said, unless he has a mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now they have what they call gematria. Every letter of the Hebrew alphabet and of the Greek alphabet has a numerical meaning. It has an exact number. Now we know that Nimrod started the mystery of iniquity. He was the father of the gods, and he started the sun-god system that was implemented into Romanism that was called the Christ Mass. We know who Nimrod was. And he was called Hercules. He had all these different names throughout the world. And when this system was booted out of Babylon by the Persian kings, it found its seat in Pergamus. When the king of Pergamus, Attalus III, died, he left part and parcel all of his system to Rome. And it was the sun god worship of Babylon down here on the Euphrates River. It was the same system that found its way into Phoenicia, Tyre and Sidon, what we call Lebanon. And the king of Lebanon, or the king of Tyre at that time, was Ethbaal. His daughter Jezebel married into Israel and took this system of Baal worship or fire god worship. Baal was called Hercules in Tyre, and Venus, the goddess of the groves, she was called Venus. She was the Tyrian Venus up here in Tyre. The system was perpetrated and continued to be permeated throughout the world by the king of Tyre and by the king of Pergamus. When the king of Pergamus died, the system was brought into the Roman church in the form of Roman Catholicism. Now, I do not believe it's just Roman Catholicism only. I believe it's the essence of everything that Nimrod started at Babylon. What did they build their system on? Pride, self-esteem, supposing gain is godliness. When they said, let us make us a name, let us build us a city, a boundary line, a law, and a tower to preach our doctrine from. And the word tower is that word Migdal, M-I-G-D-O-L, and it means a pulpit or a rostrum. Let's preach our law, the law of self-esteem, pride. Where is that being preached from today? In America, isn't it? Sure it is. It's going throughout all the world. Now let me read this to you. I'll just read this and I'll stop this week. Wasn't it Israel in Hosea 5:10? Hosea 5:10, the scripture says, Israel was like those who moved the bound. And the word bound means a landmark. It's the word Gibul, G-E-B-U-W-L. B-U-W-L. Didn't Israel move the boundary line of God? Were they not God's people? Weren't they supposed to be obedient to His law? Yes, they were. They moved the bound. They took in Tyre and Sidon. They took in Babylon. What is the harlot system at the end of time? The image? It's the she image. She is the representative of the world beast system, and the beast was Babylon, wasn't it? Yes, it was. And Babylon executed the law of let us make us a name, self-esteem. They supposed that gain was godliness. And the father of the gods was Cush, and he was called Saturn. Let me give you this. He was called Saturn. Ham. And Nimrod began that system. He was called Hercules. Let me give you this here. Hold on a second. I got to read this to you, and then I'll stop for this week and come back. I've got to read this. I want to read all about the image, but I don't have time. Everybody needs to get a Two Babylons. It's the most in-depth book of any one book I've ever seen. Let me turn over here to page 263 in my Two Babylons. This is a historical. This is historical genius. It's an astounding book. Listen to this. Let me just read this to you. Then we'll come back. Now remember, Babylon is the world system at the end. She is the image. It's what's going to have to be. It's going to have to be a mark. The mark of the beast. And it's going to, he's going to cause all, both small and great, to receive a mark in their right hand or the forehead. It's going to have to be the mark of the image of the beast, isn't it? Yes. And it's going to have, or the number. Now let me give you the number of the name. I'll read this to you and then we'll stop. Dagon and the Pope. Dagon was the fish god. Noah was deified as Dagon. Isn't it sad every time you come up with something good, Babylon would deify it. Deify it in the stars and make it something holy. Reading out of the two Babylons. Dagon and the Pope being now identified, this brings us naturally and easily to the long-sought name and number of the beast and confirms by entirely new evidence the old Protestant view of the subject. The name Latinos has been generally accepted by Protestant writers as having many elements of probability to recommend it, but yet there has been always found a certain deficiency, and it has been felt that something was wanting to put it beyond all possibility of doubt. Now, looking at the subject from the Babylonian point of view, we shall find both the names and number of the beast brought home to us in such a way as leaves nothing to be desired on the point of evidence. He says that this is surefire. Osiris, or Nimrod, Osiris was his name in Egypt. He had all these names. He was called Osiris, and he was called Nimrod, or he was called Hercules, or Adonis, or Achilles, all these different names throughout.
Wasn't Woden one of them also?
Well, that was one of the fathers, yeah. Osiris, or Nimrod, whom the Pope represents, and I don't believe it's just the Pope of Catholicism, I believe it's the essence of let us make us a name, and now it's alive and well in America, was called by many different titles, and therefore, as Wilkinson remarks, he was much in the same position as his wife, who was called Meronimus, the goddess with 10,000 names. Among these innumerable names, how should we ascertain the name at which the Spirit of God points in enigmatical language that speaks of the name of the beast and the number of his name? If we know the apocalyptic name of the system, that will lead us to the name of the head of the system, won't it? Sure it will. The name of the system is Mystery. Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth, isn't it? Sure it is. It's the mystery that, and it will be a mystery, and the word mystery is the word mysterion, and it means the hidden facts. It don't mean mysterious, and it comes from the word muo, meaning to shut the mouth. People, if they knew Satan was who he was, they wouldn't be following him. It is still a mystery until he is revealed, apocalypto. Now, here then we have the key that at once unlocks the enigma. We have now only to inquire what was the name by which Nimrod was known as the god of the Chaldean mysteries. Nimrod's the man of sin. Cain was the man of sin, and Ham evidently married one of the descendants of Cain. A believer married an unbeliever. That's called giving in marriage, marrying truth and a lie. That'll be going on at the end of time. As it was in the days of Noah, they'll be giving in marriage. That name, as we have seen, was Saturn. That was the father of the gods. Saturn was the head of the Babylonian system. That's what Nimrod and his father were deified in the stars. Saturn and mystery are both Chaldean words, and they are correlative terms. As mystery signifies the hidden system, so Saturn signifies the hidden God. Satan's a mystery until people know who he is. To those who were initiated, the God was revealed. To all else, he was hidden. He's still hidden. And when Christ splits the skies and comes back in flaming fire, when he's revealed, he'll reveal Satan and he'll destroy him. Now, the name Saturn in Chaldea is pronounced Satur. Let me give you this. Satur, hidden. Now, the name Saturn in Chaldea is pronounced Satur, but as every Chaldee scholar knows, consists only of 4 letters, thus S-T-U-R. R. That is the word Saturn in the Chaldee. Here is the geometric equivalent in numbers. S is 60. T is 400. U is 6. And R is 200. When it added up, it adds up to 666. It is the system of the Babylonian system. It is the system of pride and self and wealth and money and things and good words and fair speeches. This is the mark of the beast.